From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made, affordable, and where you'll never pay a service fee, except for Aaron Boone. You have to pay a service fee. Use the code BASH10 for 10% off of your order. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. The third annual Evening of Thanks Gala is coming up on November 14th at the Bourne Mansion in Oakdale. For more info, go to MartyLyonsFoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. And hi again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Number to call here on the program is 516-465-3990. Make sure you are subscribing to Gov's Comedy Club podcast on YouTube. Coming up later on in the show, we're going to play Stump the Wiz. We're going to have This Week in Sports History. But right now, with the post-mortem of the Yankee season going on, with all the Jet shenanigans going on, I could not think of a better guest to start the show with today than a longtime good friend of mine, a co-worker at WFAN, legendary WFAN show host, my good friend Joe Benigno, joins me here on Sports Bash. Joe, how are you, my friend?
Pete, how are you, bro? Have you recovered from the disaster last night? Are you okay?
No, I think this one's gonna take a while for me to recover. And I tweeted this out earlier today because I wanted to make sure I did updates at FAN last night. So I wanted to make sure I slept on it, thought about it, because the last thing you want to do is post something on social media that is not well thought out, because then you'll get ripped a new one, and you know the deal with that is. And I wanted to make sure I had my
I try to avoid that at all costs, Pete. You know me, with social media. You
know I know, but I'm just saying. But I wanted to make sure that I had a well thought out tweet sent out, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me. Obviously, you're not a Yankee fan; you're a Met fan. But after careful consideration, this was the Yankees' worst World Series loss of my lifetime. And I think it was worse than 2001 because, look, stuff happens. Mariano had a blown save, whatever.
Yeah, Game 7.
I think this is worse than the Marlins. Worse than the Marlins because that series you knew going in the Yankees weren't hitting, and it was just kind of a bland World Series, whatever. And then I also go back to 1976 where the Yankees got swept by the Reds, the Big Red Machine.
Were you even born then? Wait, hold on. Were you even born for the Big Red Machine?
Joe, I'm 57 years old.
How old are you now?
I'm 57. I was 9 years old when that happened.
Yeah. Let me just say this. That team, that's one of the great teams of all time, the Big Red Machine. I mean, they were better than the Yankees. Reggie wasn't there yet.
Right, that Yankee team was on the upswing, and they just needed a couple of things, and they wound up winning the next.
Reggie put them over the top. Let's
be
honest.
So that's why I think last night, this year's World Series loss for me in my lifetime was the worst, because while I thought the Dodgers were the better team, and I actually picked the Dodgers to win in 6 games, the way the Yankees lost the series, the way they let Game 1 get away, the way they had a chance to get back into Game 2 and couldn't get a big hit with bases loaded, 1 out in the 9th inning, and then that travesty of a 5th inning last night, to me, while I wouldn't have been surprised if the Yankees lost the series, but the way they lost it was very, very painful.
Yeah, but I think this was a much better team. I think they were a much better team than the Marlins in 03. I definitely think that.
But they were there. They were ripe for the picking, Joe. They were right. It's not like the Dodgers blew them out 8-0 in every game. The Yankees were right there. They had a chance. Those 2 games go their way. The Yankees are up 3-2 going back to L.A.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I don't know. I think there's a couple things at work here. I think, first of all, I think it hurt the Yankees that they basically played the JV to get to the World Series. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they had no competition. The National League was much tougher. I mean, San Diego, Philadelphia, even the Mets, that was a much tougher road for a National League team. I mean, they almost, let's be honest, they were on the brink against the Padres. They were down 2-1 to San Diego, the Dodgers, and had to come back and win those last two games just to get to the LCS. Yankees, let's be honest, Cleveland and Kansas City, man, it wasn't much competition in the American League for them.
Right, but are the Yankees supposed to apologize for the road that they took to get?
That. It's not a matter of apology. It's a matter of, they stepped up in class when they played this team. I think that's what it is. I just think they they really weren't challenged at all. I think it hurts you if you're not challenged going up to the championship game or championship series, if you know what I mean. I think that might have hurt the Yankees a little bit. I think that.
I think they had that moment in Game 3 against Cleveland. I mean, even Game 2 against the Royals.
But you never felt they were. You know what though? Even when Cleveland came back and won, I mean, not for a second did I think the Yankees were in trouble. That's me as an outsider. I know it's different when you're a fan. You look at it differently. Fan of the team, but as a guy who's an outsider. I mean, I never thought the Yankees were in any trouble at all in either one of those series.
Yeah, I just think, listen, there's no question in my mind the Dodgers were the better team, and quite frankly, and I said this on the show a couple of days ago, and I know we've talked about this. The Yankees would have lost to the Mets in the World Series. I think the Mets would have had no trouble beating the Yankees in the World Series.
I get that about the Padres and the Phillies too. I think that they were all better teams.
Yeah,
honestly, I really do.
You could have changed the name American League to Amateur League this year because that was the road that the Yankees took to get to the World Series. But still, it hurts because there was an opening for them to win the series because the Dodgers were on the ropes a couple of times and the Yankees let them out of it, and that's I think what hurts. But did you watch any of the post-game interviews last night? Did you see Juan Soto's remarks?
I heard. I did not see it, but a couple people have told me about it. I mean, Soto certainly is leaving the door open to going elsewhere. I mean, that there's no, which he really has all year, Pete. He's never really committed at all to, I want to come back to. He hasn't said that. He's left the door open the whole time. So I'm not surprised what he said after the game.
Yeah, I think he was well coached by Scott Boras because everything he said last night was in the past tense. And I think he was coached that way. And I think I think the Yankees will be at the table. I think the Mets will be at the table. I'm sure the Dodgers are going to be at the table. And I'm sure there will be other teams at the table, the ones that can afford to it. I think he's going to the Mets. What do you think is going to happen with him?
I hope so. I mean, as a Met fan, I mean, look, I mean, here's my feeling. I still think that he's going to wind up back with the Yankees. Now, I just think that. Do I want? Of course, I want him. Look, the one thing I keep saying, Uncle Steve Cohen, he's got to have the highest bid for Soto. He cannot be outbid for Soto. I definitely feel that way, and I don't know where. I mean, look, let's be honest. If George was still alive, okay, he'd be ticked off today that they lost the World Series. But if George was still alive, Soto would be. He'd throw whatever he had to keep Soto here.
Yeah, I wonder, and where I don't see that. That's the thing is I don't think Hal will go as far as Steve Cohen will go. The question will be though is can the Yankees, if they don't have the biggest offer, and I've maintained he's going to take the biggest offer, but some people have said if the Yankees get close enough, would he want to leave this group? And I think he's going to go to the highest bidder, no question.
Looks that way. I mean, I have to say it looks that way. With all things being equal, it certainly looks that way. And like I said, as a Met fan, of course I want. It's the one scenario as a Met fan where if they don't bring Pete back, I'm okay. If you bring Soto in and you let Pete walk, I mean, Pete's. You're a Met fan. He's a homegrown guy. He's one of our guys. I hate to see him go. Okay,
I'd like to see him play first base for the Yankees if they don't bring Soto back.
I mean, unfortunately I can't rule that out. I think there's a couple teams. I think the Cubs are in play for him. I think the Astros are in play for Pete. And I do think the Yankees are in play for him. But it's the one scenario where you sign Soto, you let Pete walk. I can live with it.
How now that it's a week away, a week removed from it. And I know the Mets had their moments there against the Dodgers in the NLCS, But
Right.
overall, when you consider the road the Mets took, making the playoffs on the last day of the season, and then the wins over the Brewers and the Phillies to get to the NLCS, how happy were you with the Mets season, and how excited are you about what lies ahead?
Well, I'll say this, and I said this on my radio show. I've said it on the podcast. Outside of the two championship seasons, and I've been a Met fan forever. I mean, I've seen it all. I was, like you said, 9 years old. I was 9 years old in 1962, and I made this dumb decision at that time to become a Met fan, and then 3 years later, I made the even dumber decision to become a Jet fan.
we'll get to that in a minute.
But all that, be all of that as it may. Outside of the two championship seasons, Pete, I thought this was the best season we've had. I mean, that's how there was so many great moments. They gave us so much this year. Coming back from 0-5, coming back from 11 games under 500. Basically, having the best team in baseball for the last 3.5 months of the season. The way they won in Atlanta to get to the playoffs with Lindor, the way Pete hit the home run in Milwaukee. The way they beat the Phillies, the grand slam by Lindor again. I mean, even winning Game 5 against the Dodgers and not having to see them celebrate on our home field, because the last 5 times we've been eliminated in the playoffs has all been at home. So that was the Mets. So that was a good thing. I thought it was a tremendous year. And as far as looking ahead, I think we got a great management. I wish the Jets had this management team. I mean, between the owner, the general manager, and the manager, who I love, Carlos Mendoza. I think the future's bright, bro. I do. I think that we will start to see, for the first time in the history of this franchise, sustained winning.
Yeah.
Because that's something we've never had.
I would agree with that, and I think obviously it depends on how the offseason shakes out, but I think the Mets, Joe, are in a position here where if they make the right moves in the offseason, they could come into the season next year clearly as the favorites to win the NL East and certainly in the mix to get to the World Series.
Well, look, the pressure's going. Look, this year there was no expectations. I mean, let's be honest. Nobody saw this year coming. I think that adds to how great it was. Next year there's going to be an expectation level, and they got a lot of guys that are free agents. I mean, even if let's say they don't get Soto, are they going to re-sign Pete? What are they going to do about the pitching? Manaea's a free agent, Quintana's a free agent, Severino's a free agent. There's a lot of work to be done. With all the free agents we have on this team. Going forward. I mean, we got a lot of young players in the minor leagues. You got guys like, obviously we saw Acuna a little bit. It looks like we got something with him. Guys like Jet Williams, guys like Drew Gilbert, guys like Ronnie Mauricio, guys like that. Where do they fit into the mix here? So I think the future's bright, bro. I do. Like I said, I really have a lot of confidence in the management team and the owner. I do.
Yeah, I think this obviously was a pretty special New York baseball season. The Mets' future, without question, bright, and we'll see what the Yankees wind up doing with their offseason. Of course, I'm talking with the great Joe Benigno from WFAN here on Sports Bash. You can also catch Joe's Oh the Pain podcast, so make sure you look for that. Joe, how can people find the podcast?
Well, we're on Spotify. We're on YouTube now as well, so you can check us out on those. Every Monday and every Friday we do them.
I got to get to one of the live ones. I know you do those live ones at the brewery there in New Jersey.
Yes,
I got to get to one of them one day.
We'll let you know when the next live one is. Maybe we'll do, Pete. Maybe we'll have you be the guest guy with me one of these. If
that would be fancy.
It's a long haul for you coming from the island, and I understand that. So I know. Believe me.
Well, the reciprocal offer for you to come out here to Governor's, I know it's a haul for you to come from.
Where are you, by the way? We're
at the Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, on Hempstead Turnpike in Levittown.
So that's Nassau County, right?
Nassau County. We're about 10 minutes east of Nassau Coliseum.
Right. Okay.
So
no, that's not too bad. I mean, that's not too bad. I was out to do this last week before the disastrous Sunday night loss in Pittsburgh. We did this little skit we did, and I went out to the great Sean Winter's house.
Yes.
Sean Winter's house. Let me tell you, God bless him that he comes out to every Jet game like he does with the great tailgate and everything. And if you've been to his tailgate, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to, go to a couple games. He's invited me to a couple games. He's got unbelievable seats and the whole deal.
Yeah, my family and I went in his seats last year when we went to the tailgate. That was great.
So you know what it's all about.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that he comes from St. James, Long Island, bro. It's a 2.5, 3 hour ride.
Yep.
I mean, it is I would get to Philadelphia faster than I'm getting to here. And the fact and the fact that Sean does this for every game, I'm sure he's en route right now coming to the game tonight. He probably left already,
Yeah.
or is going to be leaving.
They
soon.
got some bus. You saw that bus that they come in.
Oh God, of course, the bus, the grill, they got it all. You got to see the house.
Well, I've never seen the house, but I've been in his seats, first row, right behind the Jets bench. That was outstanding.
Outstanding. So you know the whole deal. So we did that Sean Winter's house. I give him a lot of. I mean, going out to Levittown, outside of Hofstra is a lot easier to go in where I went there. That's a big difference. So
no question. Let's get to the Jets and all the garbage that's going on with that. And Joe, you and I have talked about this before, and I've maintained this on the show here. I've talked about it on the Fan with other hosts. When you run a pro sports franchise, whether it's the Jets or whoever it is, it all starts at the freaking top. And that we've talked about this. It starts with the owner. The owner hires the right GM. The GM hires the right head coach, yada, 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 down the road. The football ops pick the players. That's how it's supposed to work. The 25 years under Woody Johnson with the shotgun marriages and meddling in the football operations business, that really, in a nutshell, is why the Jets are in the position that they're in right now. They never get anything right. They can't get the GM-coach combination right, and therefore they can't get the quarterback situation right. So when you sum up the quarter-century reign of Woody Johnson, is it as simplistic as I've made it, that it comes down just the way he does business?
Well, I think it goes back even to Leon Hess. I mean, I think that we've never had great football owners. Let's be honest about it. Leon Hess was a great humanitarian. We always talk about what he did in the oil business, and he dealt with all those guys in the Middle East and all those different characters and all that. And I give him tremendous credit for that. I like, as far as Woody's concerned, I mean, there's things that have nothing to do with football that I like about Woody. But as far as these guys being good owners, they've both been terrible. It took Leon how long? And towards the end of his life, after the Richie Kotite disaster, he finally said, "Geez, I'd like to win before I die." And he finally brought in Parcells. Of course, we didn't get over the hump with him either. And now you got kind of this. It's funny with Woody because in the beginning, he kind of, it wasn't bad. I mean, we had Herman Edwards. We went to the playoffs 3 times. Even Mangini, the first year we went to the playoffs.
Yep.
We had the year with Brett Favre. Unfortunately, it didn't work out with the injury to Favre. And then Rex, we had the back-to-back AFC title games. I think one of the biggest mistake Woody made to me, was firing Mike Tannenbaum and keeping Rex and bringing in Idzik. To me, that's the beginning of where we are now, of the disaster that we've been, the longest drought in North American sports without a playoff appearance, 9 years now going on 9 years without a winning season. All the different coaches, Bowles and Gaze and Salah, and the disaster with Olbrich now, who looks like he's totally in Olbrich.
He looks like a deer caught in headlights. I mean, you talk about somebody not suited to be a head coach.
Right. Well, I don't want to play. You know what? I can't kill him though because he didn't know it. He didn't see this coming.
No. But I'm just saying. But this is on the owner for sticking his nose in when it didn't need to be stuck in.
Yeah. Look, I kind of felt Salah wasn't going to get through the year if they started losing. I thought we'd have to get to basically the point we're at now for Salah to be fired during the year. I didn't think it was going to happen as soon as it did. And you're looking back at it retrospectively, Woody should have either fired him after last year or just let him play out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
This was not a good move. This move is really coming back to kick him in the ass. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, they're going to blow this whole thing up. There's no question. I would think.
Doubt about it.
So who would you like to see coach the team? I think we've talked about this. I'd like to, if they're not going to get Vrabel, and I don't know if Vrabel's going to take this job with the way the owner meddles in it. I'd like to see Aaron Glenn get the job.
Aaron Glenn is ex-Jet. He's done a great job as defensive coordinator in Detroit. The other guy, Johnson, the offensive coordinator. I tell you honestly, Pete, I want Rex back. Honestly, you're telling me it's not Mike Vrabel. I want Rex back. Rex wants the job. He's already said it. He said it after the game the other day on Sunday morning on the show he's on ESPN. He wants the job. Rex would come back with a massive, massive chip on his shoulder to turn this thing around. And I think he would. Now look, I would even bring Tannenbaum back. Why the hell not? Let's get the band back. I'm
You
not
want
against
Sanchez back at quarterback too?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But I wouldn't, and Sanchez was better than the guy won 4 playoff games
He
for
did.
us. I mean, nobody else has done that, at quarterback. But so he kind of gets a bad rap.
Well, Rex ruined him. Let's be honest, Joe.
Yeah.
I was covering the team when Rex was the coach, and listen, I think he brought a lot to the table, but there were a couple of things the reason why I would disagree with you about Rex. Number one is I think he made a huge mistake when he left Sanchez in that preseason game against the Giants. He got hurt.
Question.
That was number one. Number two, after the 2 trips to the AFC Championship game, the Jets had 4 non-playoff seasons. So, I think if you look at Rex's complete resume, I think there's more demerits than credits. But listen, he certainly would shake things up a little bit.
Well, I disagree. I mean, I thought he was a great coach for us. I really do. He gave us a presence. He gave us an identity. And I think the Idzik thing really, that's the killer. That was really the killer, man. I mean, you I don't put that on Rex. And even that first year, the first year with Idzik, with Gino at quarterback, they were 8-8 that year. It wasn't a terrible year. They had a 500 season. And look, I mean, the biggest problem was the quarterbacks were never coached right. And I'm not just talking about Rex. You can start with Sanchez, even Gino. You see what he's done now in Seattle. Even Sam Darnold. None of these guys were ever coached correctly. Zach Wilson just wasn't any good. I mean, I don't think there's hope for Zach Wilson ever, resurrecting his career like Gino and Donald have. I don't see that, with him. I just don't think it's there with him. But as far as Donald and Gino, I don't think they were ever coached right. And Donald unfortunately had a setback with that mono and all. There was some bad cards dealt to Sam Darnold here with the Jets,
No question about it. Joe, I can't thank you enough for spending some time. I know you want to get out and go play some golf. Hopefully we'll have some good luck with the Knicks this season. I think they'll have another special year. And maybe
44 for Paul Anthony Towns.
13
night, right?
boards, last night. That was a big night for him against the Heat. I love it when they go in there and they shut up those South Florida lousy sports fans there in Miami.
Yeah, no, I believe me, I get that. Look, here's the only thing I'll say about the Knicks. They got a very good team. I hated to see DiVincenzo go.
Me too,
because he had a toughness and great 3-point shooter and all that. But I guess they had to get rid of it. There was no trade without that with Minnesota. I got to see. It's similar to the Jets though in a lot of ways here, Pete. They haven't won since 1973. I got to see it happen.
Yeah.
We suffered through the Ewing years. We were close in all those years, but we could never get over the hump. We couldn't beat Jordan. Then we couldn't beat Olajuwon. It's nice to after 20 years in the abyss with the Knicks. 20 years in the darkness, and it was pretty damn dark. Now we got something. But I got to see him win. I'll believe it when I see him win. You know what I mean, Pete?
No question about it. I can't thank you enough for spending some time. And once college football season is done and I'm back on Saturday mornings, right. I look forward to our Saturday morning chats again.
Absolutely, Pete. It's always a pleasure. Anytime for you, bro. Nothing but love. God bless you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, Pete, let's win tonight. That would be interesting.
That would be nice. It'll make my FAN update sound a little bit better tonight.
Exactly. All right, bro. All the love. Bro.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
All right, Pete.
All right. The great Joe Benigno joining me here on Sports Bash. This segment of Sports Bash was presented by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. When we come back on Sports Bash, I'll have some more of my own personal thoughts about the Yankees disaster last night. I'm also going to get into trouble brewing on the island. And there's problems in Islanders country. And I'm going to get into that when we come back on Sports Bash. Also later in the show, a great Stump the Wiz question. That's all coming up. We're coming right back. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
At Chiropractic Care Plus, Dr. Anthony Ippolito has been helping Long Islanders recover from pain and injuries since 1993. Whether from auto accidents, work injuries, or everyday aches, they use proven methods to get you back to your best. Chiropractic Care Plus is located at 1 John Street, Suite 150 in Babylon, New York. Call 631-669-6221 to schedule your appointment today.
Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Still to come here on the show, WizKid will have Stump the Wiz, and this week in sports history, that's coming up. Vinny Tickets from TicketBash.com is going to join us at around 1:40 to talk about the latest ticket news, and there's a big concert story that we're going to talk about with Vinny that is an interesting. We like to talk about these big ticket issues with Vinny, who knows everything about the ticket industry, and it has to do with the band Oasis. And I don't know if you guys have followed this story, but there's an interesting story going on with some cancellation of tickets overseas for their tour. And while it doesn't affect people here in North America, I thought it'd be a good thing to bring up with Vinny. We'll talk about that later in the show, and again, we'll take your phone calls as well on the program. And the phone number to call is 516-465-3990. Peter Schwartz with you here on Sports Bash. Many thanks to Joe Benigno from WFAN for joining me, and also you have to catch his podcast. His podcast is great. As he mentioned, he does it a couple of days a week. So the Oh the Pain podcast. So you want to make sure you catch that, and hopefully Joe will join us again on the program. Maybe during the basketball season we'll get him on again. But always great to talk to Joe. Before I get to the Islanders, I want to just wrap up my thoughts on the Yankees from yesterday. I mentioned the other day, the Yankees don't need to apologize for the way that they got to the World Series. I mean, they got there. Did they get? It was like playing Monopoly, where you get to go right to pass go, collect the $200. Yeah, they did. They had the luck of the draw. There's no question about it. No question about it. Beat up on the Orioles during the season. Well, they didn't. They got beaten up by the Orioles. They wound up beating them up in the standings. And then the Royals and the Guardians in the playoffs. But my point being about it being, at least from my perspective, the worst Yankee World Series loss. Not the worst playoff loss. That was clearly 2004 against the Red Sox, being down 3-0, up 3-0, and then losing the series. But just the fact that even though the Yankees were not the better team, the Dodgers were clearly the better team. Just the fact that the Dodgers, it's kind of like, you open up the door just a little bit, to maybe let the person in the door that you don't really want hanging around, and you just open up that door just kind of like a little bit. The Dodgers did that. The Dodgers did that in this series. They gave the Yankees, they opened up the door a crack. And that door was open in Game 1 when the Yankees had a 2-0 lead and then a 3-2 lead. And then Freeman hits the grand slam because they brought in Nestor Cortez, who hadn't pitched in a month. And then the Dodgers let the Yankees back into Game 2 in the 9th inning, and the Yankees had bases loaded, 1 out, and they couldn't get the job done. And, of course, last night, Aaron Judge drops a fly ball. Garrett Cole doesn't cover first base. Volpe, who's a Gold Glove, tried to force that ball to Chisholm and just made a bad throw. Let's be honest, it was the right move to make. Like, Volpe made the right choice in going to third, and a good throw, he's out. Good throw, he's out. One of a number of things that could have happened in that inning, and we're talking about the Yankees and the Dodgers going back to L.A. for Game 6. Pick any number of things that happened in that 5th inning. If it doesn't happen, the Yankees win the game, and they're off to LA for Game 6. But this is a Yankee team that's flawed. And what we saw in the World Series should not be a surprise. We saw this all year long. All year long. Bad fundamental baseball. Can't get runners in from third base with less than 2 out. Can't get a big hit. And listen, maybe this team just needs a fresh approach because you've got the same general manager in there since 1998. And in 1998, Brian Cashman took on a team that was put together by Bob Watson. And 98, 99, 2000 still had Bob Watson's handprints all over it. 2009 was Brian Cashman's team. And no championships in 15 years. So I don't know why Hal Steinbrenner won't make a change, but we'll see what happens in the offseason and see if the Yankees can get Soto to come back, or if they don't get Soto back, do they then take that money and apply it towards 3 or 4 other players, as was suggested by John Heyman yesterday. So we'll see. But the Yankees losing this World Series, to me, while I thought the Dodgers would win in 6, the fact that the door was open for the Yankees to at least make this a long series really, really hurts. 76, they got swept by one of the great teams ever in the history of baseball. And the Yankees were building towards something, and they wound up winning in 77, 78. 2001, I mentioned, hey, Mariano comes in. You got the lead in Game 7 against Arizona. I won't say the real word, but stuff happens. And they didn't win. But they had won the 3 years before. So it didn't really hurt that much. It hurt, but it didn't hurt that much. And 2003, the Yankees were, whatever. It was just one of those things. But this is going to bother me for a long time. And I know there's other things in life that are way more important than the Yankees in the World Series. And I'll get to that, to a big game this weekend, but I'll get to it later on in the show. That's probably more important than anything that's going on in my professional sports life. But the Yankees need a change in philosophy. They need a cleansing. People go on that diet, they cleanse their body. I wouldn't know anything about that. But I think the Yankees need a cleansing. Speaking of cleansing, what's going on with the Islanders right now? And we started to see this really come to the forefront last week when the Islanders played the Red Wings. A game that Tony Walker was supposed to go to. But Hershey and the Keegs screwed him out of it. Right, bastards, right, yes. That game drew a crowd of a little over 12,000 people. And I looked at the score sheet. We were in the press room afterward and getting ready for Patrick Waugh's news conference. And they hand out, the score sheets that they give out in the press box after each period. They give to the media in the room where Patrick Waugh speaks after the game. And I look at the score sheet, and there's the attendance, 12,000, whatever it was. And I'm like, I don't ever remember in the 4-year history of UBS Arena seeing a crowd of 12,000 people. Not that I've been to every single game, but I checked the records and everything. So I immediately grabbed my phone, Google lowest crowd at UBS Arena. And the lowest crowd that was on record before that was 13,000. So this was the lowest crowd in UBS Arena history. And I think it signals a huge problem for the Islanders here, because there is a good chunk of this fan base that is fed up with the way that things are going on right now. The fact that the roster has not changed very much. The fact that Lou Lamoriello, the president and general manager, is stuck in his ways. And that they continue to put the same group out there. In fact, that led to another problem the other day, where the Islanders had to put Anthony Duclair on long-term injured reserve. That opens up some cap room by doing that. And the Islanders brought back Pierre Engvall and Hudson Fasching from Bridgeport. And then they also signed Matt Martin to a one-year deal. He was in camp on a PTO. So they bring these players back up. Patrick Waugh is supposed to speak to reporters before the game on Saturday against Florida. And he doesn't. Lou Lamoriello comes out instead and talks about the roster moves. Patrick Waugh then speaks after the Islanders blew a 3-0 lead and lost to the Panthers 6-3. Patrick Waugh starts pointing the finger a little bit. If you read between the lines, the way he spoke to the media afterward, you're like, well, Lou thought that was the right thing to do, and Lou this and Lou that. And you're like, wow, there's trouble in paradise here. There's trouble on the aisle. Because it certainly looked like Patrick Waugh and Lou Lamoriello were not on the same page. You've already got a fan base that's dwindling in numbers at UBS Arena. You have season ticket holders angry at the on-ice product. They're angry that their parking spots got taken away in the Belmont Park garage because of the Village. They're angry that if they park in the Emerald lot, they got to take that shuttle bus over. There's all these things that the fan base is all pissed off about. And now you have this assumed problem between Patrick Waugh and Lou Lamoriello. And of course, Patrick Waugh Monday at practice, Monday morning. Oh, no. We agree that there's some. We're not happy with some things, but we're in agreement. Everything is all good. Everything is fine. No, it's not. It's clearly not. It's clearly not, because it's clear that Patrick Waugh doesn't like this roster. I'm not at practice every day. I'm not in that facility all the time. I'm there every now and then. I'm not back in meetings, obviously. But it is clear from his facial expressions, from the way he's talking to the media after games, there's no question that Patrick Waugh is not happy with the roster he's been given by Lou Lamoriello. Now, how do you fix it? How do you fix it? Ownership loves Lou Lamoriello. I mean, they talk when they brought Lou Lamoriello in, changing the culture. In Lou we trust, John Ledecky says all the time. How much more are they going to trust him? Did he change the culture from where it was when he took over? Yes. Brought in Barry Trotz. They made the playoffs. They went to the semifinals 2 years in a row. Since then, a couple of playoff appearances, but nothing more from this group. And it's predominantly the same group that was part of that team that went to the semifinals 2 years in a row. And they have not made changes. And they have got salary cap problems. And there's a lot of issues with the Islanders right now. And the fans are showing their displeasure by not showing up at UBS Arena. And more you're hearing, I'm not renewing. It's the same team. It's the same that we've seen the last few years. They don't score a goal. They have been shut out now 4 times this season. That's 10 games. They've been shut out in 40% of their games this year. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. And I hardly ever say anything bad about the Islanders, because the Islanders organization has treated me and my family very, very well over the years. But there is something wrong right now. There is something wrong. On the ice, off the ice, there isn't that warm and fuzzy feeling between the fan base and the team right now. And where's the help coming from? Like, who are they benching? Who are they taking out of the lineup? Who are they bringing up? You're bringing up some people from Bridgeport. You're bringing up Matt Maggio, who's probably not ready. You're bringing up William Dufour, who still has problems skating. He's gotten a little bit better. He had a brief shot last year. Is he the answer? No. What do? You make a trade? Oh, maybe you make a trade. They're in salary cap hell. How are they going to bring in a big-name player if they're in salary cap hell? So there's a lot of problems. A lot can be pointed at Lou. Maybe some at Patrick Waugh, because he's not adjusting to the roster that Lou gave him. But then again, if the roster is bad, the coach is only as good as the roster. Bill Parcells used to say, you are what you are. And Patrick Waugh's got that team into the playoffs last year, got this group somehow. So he's a really good coach. But you have to be able to make some moves and make some changes and get faster and younger. And you got to score goals. 4 times shut out. And last night I'm at the Fan. I'm watching the first period of the game. I'm trying to flip around, and then the World Series comes on, so my attention was geared to that. But I kept looking up at the screen. I'm like, and the Islanders can't score. They got to fix this, or you're going to be able to get into Islander games for $5 this year. That when the Islanders are really bad at the Coliseum. There were a couple of those years where I went to a game at the last minute with my son one year at the Coliseum. The Islanders weren't very good. We got in for $1.75. And again, I'm going to apologize to Vinny Tickets. This was pre-Ticket Bash, pre my relationship with Ticket Bash. My son and I went to an Islanders game an hour before the game, and I think it was StubHub, $1.75 a ticket. We are heading in that direction if the Islanders don't get this thing turned around. When we come back, that aforementioned Vinny Tickets from ticketbash.com is going to join us. We'll cry a little bit more about our Yankees. We'll talk about what's going on in the ticket world. We've got Stump the Wiz this week in sports history, the Sports Bash media poll question. That's all coming up when Sports Bash returns right after this. Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
At Chiropractic Care Plus, Dr. Anthony Ippolito has been helping Long Islanders recover from pain and injuries since 1993. Whether from auto accidents, work injuries, or everyday aches, they use proven methods to get you back to your best. Chiropractic Care Plus is located at 1 John Street, Suite 150 in Babylon, New York. Call 631-669-6221 to schedule your appointment today.
Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing...
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by ticketbash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz, 516-465-3990. We come back with a little You Too, I Will Follow. And for those who know me from this platform, other platforms, you know how much I love Billy Joel, and he's my favorite. But I would say in my life, in terms of theatrics, in terms of stage presence, in terms of the overall production of the show, probably the most memorable concert, other than the Billy Joel show, was when I saw U2 at Giant Stadium, the Pop Mart tour. Just the way that they had the stage set up and just the showmanship of Bono and everybody in U2, and that was phenomenal. And if U2 ever comes back in the area, comes on tour again, of course, I'll have to go to ticketbash.com and get my tickets. And this segment is presented by ticketbash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. And we'll see what's going on in the ticket world. We welcome in the CEO of ticketbash.com, Vinny Tickets. Vinny, hello, sir.
Well, hello, Peter. How are you today?
Well, I think you and I have had better mornings when it comes to the fandom of our Yankees, and that was just an utter disgrace last night. That fifth inning, I've seen better defensive efforts by a 6 or 7 year old Little League team.
You know, it's funny. I'll tell you a quick story about that, Peter. I know we don't have a lot of time. I'll always remember the story that my son was playing first base in Little League baseball, and it was literally, he didn't have to move his feet, and he stood there, and a little pop fly came and landed in his glove, and it bounced out, right? And I was fuming. I was so angry. And there goes my wife from the stands. He didn't move his feet, and the ball never left more than 10 feet in the air. You know what my wife yelled out? Good try, Vincent. So I tell this story because I look at that game last night, and there is no good try.
No.
You're making $40 million a year. It's a pop fly, right?
Yeah.
So the three plays that killed us, obviously, are the pop fly, the Volpe throw, and I blame Garrett Cole and I blame Rizzo for not being at first base.
No, it was a combination. And I was telling Tony off the air, because Tony and Wiz were both saying, well, maybe Rizzo should have gotten the first base faster. I think Rizzo got his feet stuck in the mud because he was so shocked that Cole wasn't running over the first base. And here's my point about that, Vinny, is that when the Mets and Yankees, they report for spring training in February. The Mets go to Port St. Lucie, the Yankees go to Tampa. And all the local news stations, plus SNY, all the baseball people, they all converge on Tampa and Port St. Lucie for spring training. And when you see the stand-ups on the news, whether it's Bruce Beck or Tina Cervasio, whoever the news people are that are down in Florida, and they show the B-roll of the first day of Yankee spring training and the first day of Mets spring training, what is the one drill that they show every single time?
You know what, Peter? It's great that you said that. I told my wife last night, this goes back to February baseball. The first thing they're doing is a ground ball to first, pitcher sprints to first. Mm-hmm. It's an automatic of the game. It's an automatic. It doesn't matter. Even if they don't need you, you step aside and let them take it themselves. Yeah. It must, as soon as you see that ball heading to the first baseman, your automatic is to sprint to the bag.
I don't know what Cole was thinking. I know he was taxed with the extra at-bats and the extra pitches, but you got to get over and cover first base. But in any event, the Yankees settle for being American League champions. Now they'll have to try and get Juan Soto re-signed, make some other moves during the offseason. The Mets as well, to see if we can have another special baseball season in New York. I did want to bring up, I was talking about the U2 concert before, but I know I told you earlier today, I wanted to bring this story up. For those who don't know, Oasis, a great group, coming on a reunion tour. So there's an issue, and we always seem to be talking, Vinny, all the time these issues come up. We're talking about Ticketmaster. Thousands of tickets on resale websites were canceled by Oasis ahead of their upcoming reunion tour. Over 50,000 tickets on the secondary market for the band's UK dates, that's United Kingdom, were canceled and will be made available again at face value. There were 1.4 million tickets on sale when the tour was announced in August, but more than 10 million fans from 158 countries joined the queue. Within hours, thousands of tickets appeared on the secondary market, and that created a problem, and now Oasis pulled those tickets from the secondary market and will put them back on sale. From what you know about this story, your general thoughts and your words for consumers when these kind of shows go on sale.
Yeah, so keep in mind that those are not ticket brokers that are buying up those seats, all right? It's a very, very common practice now for college kids, housewives, everybody. When you go into the queue, it literally tells you you're number 37,000 in the queue, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a whole misnomer that ticket brokers are buying up all the seats. In our entire office, a show goes on sale, we can only buy 8 tickets. And in all actuality, everybody is a ticket broker now, right?
Right.
The housewives, the the high school kids. My son and all his friends in college are now buying and selling tickets when there's a big on sale. So everybody. So I don't know how Oasis plans on restricting a free market enterprise, what is known in the United States as capitalism. And free market enterprise, and realize this, that free market enterprise or capitalism gives the end line consumer or user the best opportunity to have the best price of any inventory. And the way that works is it's very simple. If a primary market is controlled by the person that is issuing the tickets, Oasis is so concerned about ticket prices and secondary sales, well, then they should do away with all the platinum seats that they put up for sale at double and triple and quadruple the price as the primary. If you're that concerned about secondary ticket prices, then don't allow Ticketmaster to, number one, charge a 30% service fee. Number two, don't allow Ticketmaster to pull seats off sale and sell them at double, triple, or quadruple the price. That's the big crime in the scenario. It's not the college kid, the fan, my office, my friend's office buying 8 tickets. That's not the challenge that we have here. The challenge we have is when you control the primary market and you're then able to put those tickets up at 200, 300, 400% the market price. That's where the problem is.
There was a part of the story that I know I sent it over to you as well, where again, and we've talked about this on the show before, going back to our old show, is that when people are buying tickets on the secondary market, you want to make sure that you are buying them from legitimate organizations, ticketbash.com, those service fees, and any licensed ticket broker. The problem I think sometimes comes up is when people will. You talk about this all the time. If it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Yeah, like if you see something on Craigslist and it's a ticket at a ridiculously low amount of money, you got to be careful about that. And I think this might be a little eye-opening thing for people too, that when they buy tickets on the secondary market, they have to make sure they're buying it from a reputable organization.
Yeah, 100%. And keep in mind, I would never, I tell clients all the time, if you found a great deal, yesterday I had people, for the Yankee game. Oh, I have someone offering me seats at $300. Well, they're probably not real. They're probably not going to send them to you. And my analogy that I always use, Peter, it's very simple. I have a bar of gold here, right?
Right.
And I could take this bar of gold and I could walk into any shop, right? Anybody who buys gold on Long Island and say it's $1,000 an ounce. I have no idea what the number is, but I could walk into any gold shop. One guy's going to give me $980. Another guy's going to give me $1,020. Another guy offers me $900. But it's all because there's an intrinsic value. Well, a ticket is no different, Peter. So if you have a ticket that you're looking to sell or looking to buy, why are you going to give it to me at $300? Why is someone on Craigslist selling that ticket for $300? Put it on StubHub and sell it for $700, right? So
there you go. By the way, at Wiz sitting to my left, and on Monday, Wiz did a great job at Long Island Nets Media Day, filing a report that we played on Tuesday's show. So I just wanted to make sure that you saw that and saw the great work that Wiz. And Wiz is going to be covering some Long Island Net games for Sports Bash this season.
I'm excited for it.
That's great. And Wiz, I did see it, and no surprise. Not that Peter was surprised, but I will tell you that I was absolutely, as usual, impressed with all of your work. So great job, Wiz.
Thanks, Vinny. I very appreciate it.
Vinny, before we let you go, obviously now that the World Series has come and gone, big ticket items for ticketbash.com. Locally, obviously, the Knicks and Rangers at the Garden. Billy Joel's coming to UBS Arena New Year's Eve again. What else can people look for as far as good deals at ticketbash.com?
Yeah, so there's a lot of great events coming up that you could get value for. Obviously, tonight's Jet game has great value because
I saw $9 for a single seat.
Yeah, $9. So there is a lot of value. I was able to put some clients. Our staff was able to put some clients in lowers under $100. So there's the Jets, the Giants this weekend are in town. David Gilmour is coming on tour. Jingle Ball is coming up in December. For anybody who wants to get their kids out to a great kids show, they're coming up. Sabrina Carpenter is another great show. If you're a country fan, we're going to push it out to next year. Thomas Rhett has announced that he'll be playing at Jones Beach next year. So there are a lot of good events, a lot of great shows coming up. And the best place to get them is ticketbash.com. And I'm going to leave this code up just for another week or two, Peter. We're going to give a code called Yanks5. All right, that's Yanks5, gives you an additional 5% off on checkout on our website. And Peter, you might want to also let people know we do have a brand new website that just launched.
I saw it. Yeah. It looks great.
Yeah, thank you. And having great success with it, and we're going to do some marketing behind that as well. So.
Absolutely. Vinny, as always, thank you so much, and we are looking forward to having you in studio at some point. Now that the busy season is done, the World Series is over, we want to have you in studio one day.
I think I'll be there on Tuesday for a few minutes.
Well, if you're here Tuesday, you won't be able to get in because the studio is closed. Yeah, Tony's not letting anybody in on Tuesday. Something's going on, and we can't get in the studio. So, Wednesday.
Yeah, something big's happening on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think something's happening that we're not allowed to be a part of.
Big.
So,
something
but
really big.
We will see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. That's Vinny Tickets from Ticketbash.com. I knew, again, it was an action-packed show that we were probably going to run into a little bit of overtime, so we have to get to a few more things. Let's now get to Stump the Wiz, and what we ask you to do every week on Thursdays is submit your best sports trivia questions to the Sports Bash X/Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Today's contestant is Jerry Rosenstein from Belmore. He submitted a question. If he stumps you, he will win 2 tickets to see the Nets play the Pistons on Sunday afternoon at Barclays Center.
Ah, nice, young future, nice young teams.
I believe that's an afternoon kickoff, 3:30, so you can watch a little bit of football and go out to Barclays Center and then be home in time to see the night football game. I forget who's the Sunday night game this week.
This week, I believe, is
That's okay. It's immaterial.
It's
It has nothing to do with
Colts
the giveaway.
Vikings.
Colts Vikings.
It was
There you
flexed
go.
up. It was flexed up instead of Jaguars.
So 2 tickets for the Nets and the Pistons Sunday afternoon at Barclays Center. Here is the question. Tony Walker has placed 2 minutes on the proverbial clock. Are you ready?
Let's see.
All right, we do not start the clock until you hear me say the magic words. Here is the question. Who was the first player in World Series history to be the designated hitter and also have the initials DH? First player in World Series history to be the designated hitter and have the initials DH. Jerry Rosenstein from Belmore. He is our contestant. We have 2 minutes on the clock, and away we go.
A DH named DH.
Yes, first player in World Series history to be the designated hitter while also having the initials DH.
Well, I assume it's an American League player because, of course, the National League took a long time for this to finally happen, but it finally happened.
Of course, as a proud member of the Jewish community, I will tell you Ron Blomberg, as you all know, former Yankee great, was the first ever DH when they instituted the DH, but he is not the answer to this question.
I wouldn't think so because that's not the same initials.
No.
I don't know.
Very good, Wiz. You're following along.
I don't know why, but whenever I think of the name DH, I think of David Humphreys, but he's a voice actor. Why would he be a baseball player?
How come every time you're on the show you go off topic?
I'm not going off topic. I'm just going through the Rolodex of names in my head.
Looks like we are down to 111?
Yes.
110.
Derek, or
110.
I feel like it's David or Derek or something like that. It's like a DA or DE.
Well, it can't be a DA.
Okay.
It's got to be a DH.
No. I mean,
first name.
First
okay,
name.
first name. Okay. You let me know when you want a hint.
55 seconds.
55 seconds, according to Mr. Tony Walker.
Yeah, you know what? Give me a hint.
You're way off base with being in the 70s, and you're off base with it being an American League team.
Okay, so it's a National League team, and I'm pretty sure it happened relatively recently. Maybe it's one of those instances in which an NL team plays in an American League ballpark.
35 seconds to
and
go.
they would have to be the DH for that instance, but also there's no guarantee that interleague play would have happened in the regular season yet, so it might have happened before
You have
97.
25 seconds to go. Tony is into it. Yeah, he's really keeping an eye on the clock.
15 seconds.
15 seconds to go.
David, Hanley or something like that?
No.
Derek,
5 seconds to go.
Derek,
3, 2, 1.
And the Wiz has been stumped. Congratulations to Jerry Rosenstein from Belmore going to see the Nets and the Pistons on Sunday afternoon at Barclays Center. The correct answer, and it took place in 1986 between the Mets and the Red Sox. And the correct answer now is, you had your chance. Tony, do you know who it is?
Danny Heap.
Danny Heap is the correct.
Danny
Heap of the Mets, 1986. Of course, the initials DH. He was the DH.
I had a feeling it was DA, but I couldn't
The
really.
DA is a host that I used to work with at CBS Sports Radio, who's now at Sirius.
Oh.
Okay, guy, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Don't worry. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, there you go. So congratulations to Jerry Rosenstein going to see the Nets and Pistons on Sunday. Excellent question that was submitted. It is now time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new poll question every weekday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. On this Thursday, we ask Yankee fans, would you like to see Derek Jeter and Don Mattingly join the organization in some capacity? And the four choices are Jeter as GM. I vote yes for that. Mattingly as the manager. I vote yes to that. Both. Of course, I vote yes to that. Or run it back with Cashman and Boone. I do not vote yes for that. So I'm going to go with, I would love to see Jeter and Mattingly, GM, manager. I'd love to see A-Rod be the Yankees hitting coach. I'd like to see Andy Pettitte be the pitching coach. And let's bring those guys back that helped them win before and help them win in another capacity. What do you think?
I would want all those things to happen, but for a very, very different reason. My reason, of course, is getting Mattingly attention, giving A-Rod attention, and I'm getting Pettitte attention because they're going to need it, especially for the voters that are going to...
I'm not worried about the Hall of Fame. I'm worried about the Yankees winning another World Series before I... leave the planet.
Hey, I have things that I want to see.
Brian Cashman's going to be 117 years old and still running the Yankees organization. Hal's kids will still be doing the same nonsense. Very quickly, we need this week in sports history.
All this talk about, L.A. and New York. I'm going to give a very underrated World Series. A World Series that went to 7 games. How about we talk about 2002? That was the latest time in all one-state World Series, and it's the last time you had an L.A. versus San Francisco Bay Area.
I don't
World
think
Series.
I watched 1 second of that World Series.
Hey, listen, that's a very important World Series because the first ever World Series where both teams were wild cards. It is the only time the Angels went to and won a World Series. That was Tony Glaus winning World Series MVP for them, and the Giants were only a few outs away from winning it in Game 6, but the Angels came back and won, and of course won Game 7. And the Angels have not been back there since. It's a often forgotten World Series because
I've forgotten about it. I didn't even watch it.
Listen, it's okay. It's okay, but because unfortunately for Dusty Baker, he was let go. He left the Giants afterwards and was a part of the Cubs.
Yep.
And of course, 03 was the infamous Bartman game against the Marlins in the NLCS.
I think he's still in hiding. Think Steve Bartman, he's still
Yeah,
in
he
hiding,
is.
Right?
And
there was a story not long ago that was written about him in an interview, I think a number of years ago, but yeah, I think he's still in hiding.
But the thing that I really am happy for is that the Cubs gave him and his family a World Series ring, and
that was nice.
Yeah, but let's talk
opposed to the 2 buffoons at Yankee Stadium the other night that they should give these guys a permanent hanging in town City Hall.
I don't know about that, but as for
not a hanging, just a smack on the ass.
But for that World Series, say that was a 7-game World Series. Not talked about is the only time that Barry Bonds went to a World Series in his entire career, and it's a shame that's an often forgotten World Series because it was sandwiched in between the Yankees World Series appearances, and the Angels were often a foe that they met during the 2000s.
They lost to the Angels in the
DS.
in 02.
It was the DS they lost to, but then they beat the Twins in the CS and, of course, beat the Giants in the World Series. But, hey, listen, I'm all for a nice rivalry series.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I have a bad attitude about that.
Hey, listen. I'm
usually Wiz really piques my interest with this day when we were doing the Daily Show. I'm sorry, it was a little underwhelming today, but you did a great job with Long Island Nets Media Day.
Hey, listen, I understand the Yankees lost last night. I'm
just not in a very good mood today,
Listen, I can't blame you. That 5th inning was brutal to watch. I was like...
Yeah, it's enough. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm just saying from my personal perspective.
Yeah, I don't care about your personal perspective. It's my show. I want to be happy doing the show.
Okay, well...
Okay. Is that all? Is that all you got?
All I got to say is... the last time that the Angels went to a World Series...
enough with the Angels. Forget about it.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. It's all in good fun.
Thanks, Wiz. We love you. And that'll do it for today's show. Before we say goodbye, I want to tell you about what's going on here next week. Obviously, there's something going on here on Tuesday. We can't get in and do the show on Tuesday, so we'll be doing Sports Bash next week on Wednesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock next week. And we have 2 great shows, 2 great in-studio guests coming up next week. On Wednesday, one of our sponsors here on Sports Bash, Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund and Ryan Anthony Heating Company. Ryan Anthony is going to be in studio with us for a little bit talking about the Head Start Fund. We'll talk about his great organization that raises awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information on that, you can visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Then on Thursday, and I'm really looking forward to this, I'm going to be all decked out in my Islander stuff on Thursday because this is going to be exciting. We're going to have former Islander Steve Webb in studio with us, not just to talk about his career with the Islanders and some great moments at the Coliseum, but also he is the founder of Team Up for Community, an organization that promotes social community give back through athletics. They do some great work there. Steve and his wife Teresa, they do a great job with that. We're going to have Steve in studio for a little bit to talk about that. Actually, if Steve wants to stay for the whole hour, we'll have him in for the whole hour. That chair, Wiz, you'll have to move over on Thursday to the other chair because Steve's going to sit next to me on Thursday. No problem. Okay, there you go. That will do it for this edition of Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. Thanks to my guest, Joe Benigno. Also, before I leave, big game on Saturday. My son Bradley and the Westcon Wolves going on the road to take on the UMass Dartmouth Corsairs. A battle for first place in the MASCAC Conference, and at stake, the conference championship and a berth in the NCAA Division III playoffs. That's a big game on Saturday. My wife and I heading to Massachusetts to go to see that. So good luck to Bradley and the Wolves, Coach Loth, everybody. Good luck. Go get them. Bring home another conference championship on Saturday. So again, thanks to Joe Benigno. Thanks to Wiz, thanks to Vinny Tickets, thanks to the big guy on the right, Tony Walker, for spinning the dials for us. Everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Sports Bash sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Bearcat Building Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Sports Bash back on Wednesday. Of course, I wrote it wrong in the script, but we're back on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day, everyone.